For how long should we continue waiting? Let's have our audios off, unless you are communicating. I can see time is not on our side, and I'm not sure about when these guys are going to join the lesson. So without a waste of time, please allow me to welcome your suggestions or opinions on the areas that you feel like we need to revise. But of course, we'll also go through the syllabus. And today, all I want us to do, look at, anyway, we'll arrive at that later. Just a minute. Let me get a pen. Okay, where did you reach with your teacher in geography? Hello?
Fieldwork.
Fieldwork, yeah?
Yes.
You had decided or you are to start?
It started.
Or you had started fieldwork, yeah? Okay, where did you stop exactly in fieldwork? Yes.
We were almost winding up.
On?
We were almost winding up on fieldwork.
Okay. I see. So we'll go through the topic once more. That is fieldwork. And then we'll also consider rocks and minerals. But before that, is there any topic that you feel like we need to do something about?
Weather.
Yes, weather.
Weather. So we have weather. Which other topic? Okay, just weather. Any other suggestion?
Statistical methods.
Statistical methods. Statistical methods. We'll revise that topic. Statistical methods. Okay. Which other? Any other topic? Okay. I was also thinking of us going through your term paper, but I'm not sure whether you've received back your scripts. Have you been given back your scripts by the teacher?
No.
You have not been given.
Not yet.
Okay, fine. So then that one we may do when we resume, when you have your scripts with you. Yeah, but we'll still see. We still have quite some time, and we may capitalize on that to do something very, very constructive. Otherwise, I believe you all know me, and I will be taking you through geography during this holiday. Today, I want us to look at, I want us to go through fieldwork, and then I'm impressed by the progress, the fact that you are in fieldwork. That is a very, very great progress. Allow me to share the document, just a minute. Are you able to see the document?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can see.
Okay, fine. I don't know. Were you given notes by the teacher?
No.
Mm.
No, he was
Okay. Mm. Okay, don't worry, don't worry. We'll give it. We'll see what to do with it, and I'll try to send you the notes because this is a very, very important topic. Remember, in geography, in Form 1, when we're looking at the branches, you were told that there are 4 branches of practical geography or areas of study in practical geography. One of them was fieldwork. We had map work, statistics, and photograph work. Photograph work you will do in Form 2. For statistics, we do in Form 1, 2, 3, and partly in Form 4. So there are some graphs that we'll be drawing, and not just graphs, charts, and so on. So that's something that will carry on up to Form 4. But in Form 1, as at now, I believe you are well conversant with the how to draw a combined line and bar graph, a simple line graph, and a simple bar graph. And then photograph work, I've said, is in Form 2. And then map work, it starts in Form 1. We have in Form 1, Form 2, and then we'll conclude it in Form 3. And it is compulsory in Paper 1. Question 6, you'll be asked to answer. Actually, the instruction in Paper 1 is answer all questions in Section A. Section B, you'll be asked to answer question 6, which is map work, 25 marks, and any other 2 questions. You will be given between number 6, 7, say we have 7, 8, 9, 10. So out of the other 4 questions, you only choose 2 questions which you deem easier for you. And one of the areas of practical geography that feature in both Paper 1 and Paper 2 is fieldwork. And fieldwork is something we only do in Form 1. And once we are done with it, you will never do it again because it's no longer in the syllabus. It's never there again in Form 2, 3, and 4. But it's something that cannot miss in a national exam. And how is fieldwork tested? So fieldwork, in most cases, it's application question. They attach it, sometimes they'll attach it to statistics. For example, you are told that a group of from 1Q students of Alliance High School are to conduct field study about weather. And then the question is, identify 3 methods they will use to collect data. So that one takes you back to statistics. And that's why you need some solid foundation or knowledge or information on the concepts in the topic statistics, so that when you are asked questions regarding statistics and fieldwork, you will be well conversant with that. And it can be up to 25 marks. We can have a scenario whereby it is 13 marks in Paper 1 and maybe 12 in Paper 2. So, but the law is in both papers, the maximum marks it can contain is 25 marks. But in most cases, it's around 20, 15 marks there. But this is an area that does not miss. So as we revise it, I want to take it very, very seriously. So I want us to start. I want us to give it a fresh start. We'll look at all key areas in details here. So I want us to start by looking at the meaning of the concept fieldwork. So what do we mean by fieldwork? When someone mentions the word fieldwork, what should ring into your mind? So Brian Mwanzia. Brian?
Yes.
How did you define fieldwork?
Fieldwork is the scientific study of geography, whereby the environment is used as the laboratory.
It's used as the?
Whereby the environment is used as the laboratory.
As the laboratory, yeah? Okay, that is correct. So when you talk about fieldwork, in a nutshell, it's the scientific study of geography using the environment as a source of information, or as a laboratory. Remember, in a laboratory, that's where tests are largely conducted. So when you talk about fieldwork, there are some topics. Remember, geography, we say that it's both human and physical science. And science is something that has got an aspect of testability, something that can be measurable or tested, or something that can be proven. So in geography, most of the topics and concepts, especially in physical geography areas, Those topics actually, they are some of the concepts that need testing. And as a result, at times when we study some concept topics, like for example, rocks and minerals, when you study rocks and minerals, when you go out there to the field, it's something that you will, you will have to ascertain, you have to give it a practical approach. For example, when we talk about how rocks form, you may not see how it forms at that moment, but when you say that this is how sedimentary rocks look like, characteristics and so on, it's something you can go there and test and even justify. So in short, in fieldwork, from as that word field depicts, it's the scientific study of geography using the environment as a laboratory or source of information. So you learn, you acquire. Actually, most of the information we collect from the field. It may not be in existence, that information. So maybe you may go collect it as first-hand information, remember primary data. So when you go there, you to gather that information from the field, you may apply several techniques. You may interview resource persons. You may conduct measurements. Remember the methods that we talked about in statistics, methods of data collection. So we apply all those techniques, including sampling, testing of samplings, conducting experiments, and so on. So we call that fieldwork. So in short, fieldwork is the scientific study of geography using the environment as a laboratory or source of information. And it can be adopted or conducted in three ways. So we have three types of fieldwork. So fieldwork is of three types. It can be carried out in three ways. And you may be asked, can we just note down this question? Note down this question, I like that. A group of Form 1 students of Alliance High School, a group of Form 1 students of Alliance High School, a group of Form 1 students of Alliance High School, a group of Form 1 students of Alliance fieldwork, are to conduct fieldwork about weather. A group of Form 1 students of Alliance High School are to conduct fieldwork about weather. A group of Form 1 students of Alliance High School are to conduct fieldwork about weather. Full stop. I like that. Roman number one. Identify three methods they would adopt. Identify three methods they would adopt for their exercise. Identify three methods. Identify Okay, hello boys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, okay. Just a minute. Let me be added as a co-host so that I can share the document. So we've said that in fieldwork, in a nutshell, is that the scientific study of geography as an using environment as a laboratory or source of information. And if you are asked the methods that one will adopt, in short, what are some of the ways in which fieldwork can be conducted? So fieldwork, we can conduct it in 3 ways. And the first one is field excursion. Just a minute, let me ask the teacher to add me. Just a minute. So we say that it is the scientific, it can be adopted in 3 ways. That is field excursion, field research, and field study. And I want us to look at what we mean by these types of fieldwork and their motives or the purpose or some of the reasons why students will conduct one over the other, and what are the differences, especially for field excursion and field study. So the first method or the first technique that can be used. Just a minute, let me share that. Okay. So the first technique is what we call field excursion. So when we talk about field excursion, and I want to get this very, very clearly, because you may be asked a reason why students will adopt field excursion over field study or field study over field excursion. So there you need to understand clearly the differences between those two methods. So the first one is field excursion. So when we talk about field excursion, in short, this is whereby students go to a given place to study, I mean, to observe the features. So there they just see the features, they note down, and then any kind of discussion or consultation, those ones they make back in class. So there, when they go to the field, they don't interact even with resource persons, that is asking them questions regarding those features. So what they do there, they just go there. For example, let's say we've done volcanicity. So we are looking at feature, let's say a volcano, or volcanic mountains, or any other volcanic feature, extrusive volcanic feature. So when you go there, you just observe without, you observe and note down whatever you are seeing. So any discussion, anything that may call for discussion or clarification, those ones they make them back in class. And when talk about field excursion, it is not just limited to one topic. Unlike, let's say, field study, whereby you only pursue one theme or one topic. So here, you can pursue several topics or themes. Let's say we've done about rocks and minerals, we've done mining, we've done folding, faulting, and even volcanicity, and even some external landforming processes in Form 3. So when we go there to the field to see the features, we can look for volcanic features, those from faulting and even folding, and even we can even try to classify the rocks in that area and study even the distribution of rocks in our area of study. So in short, when you talk about field excursion, it is whereby students visit an area. It could be an area which is near or far from the school, but when they visit, in short, the motive is to see geographical features or phenomena, then note down and discuss later in class. So here, they don't discuss, it's not more of a study. That is what we call field excursion. And the motive, if you are asked, reasons or the aim of field excursion, or reasons why students will conduct field excursion, these ones again are importance of derived from the importance of field work, and we look at it. But in the meantime, number one is to reinforce what has been learned in classroom. For example, let's say that you've learned, you've been told that Mount Kenya, for example, is snow-capped. So when you go there and see, so it will help you in understanding of that concept. Or when you see it practically, or let's say you've done weather. That's the topic you've done so far. So when you've done weather, maybe you want to measure how elements, you want to measure various weather elements. So when you go there, based on that knowledge, as you interact with those instruments, it will help you in the understanding of or mastery of the concepts regarding the geographical areas of concern. And then you will gain more geographical knowledge. So when talk about gaining more geographical knowledge, this is not just limited to, let's say that in the textbooks, in your course books, there's some information that may not be disclosed, or that may not be contained in the books regarding the areas of study. Let's say that in a given area where there's a volcano or a volcanic mountain, for example, around that area there's a geyser and even a hot spring, which was not captured in your book. Maybe that was due to later eruptions after the books had been even published. So when you go there, you interact with, you will come across a lot of information that are not even contained in the book, some features, and as a result, one will be able to gain a lot of information about the area of study and even the concept of the topic of study. Maybe it's about a feature. Let's say it's all about some rocks. So it's about the features. You're looking at the characteristics of rocks. And then when you go there, you come across a unique feature which is not talked about. And then it will also help you to identify and appreciate geographical features. Because when you go, let's say in an area where we have a fold mountain, or even a block or a host mountain. So those mountains, when you go there, you discover that there are tourists around that region who bring income, if they are local, and revenue and foreign exchange, that is if they are international or foreign tourists. So based on that, you can acknowledge the importance of that feature. Maybe if it's you've discovered that is also a source of a river, and you know the importance of river will provide water for both domestic and industrial use, and it's also be a habitat for some aquatic plants and animals. So you tend to appreciate the need to conserve and even to protect these features. And then in the process, one could also identify problems of geographical interest, areas that may need to be addressed geographically. For example, let's say that you've gone to an area where there's faulting, in a faulted landscape. Remember, faulting, you will do it in Form 2, but in a nutshell, it's just the process of crustal distortion or fracturing of rocks due to tectonic forces, like tensional forces and so on, that cracking. So let's say that you go to a faulted landscape and you notice that there is lava. There are some areas where lava is slowly but gradually coming out onto the Earth's surface, or maybe spreading on the surface, and maybe the people may not be aware. So these ones may cause some issues. So based on your field work, when you identify such problems, you may air them out with the local authority and even with the with these people. And we look at some practical questions, some application questions that have been tested and that you can be asked regarding fieldwork. But we'll do that later once we're done with the topic. Is there anyone with a question regarding field excursion? Hello? Yes, Job. Job query?
I was asking if it can also be for enjoyment.
Yeah, I've said this one. Remember, those are just some basic motives, and I've said all of them derive from the importance of fieldwork. Remember, there are some we've not mentioned. To apply geographical knowledge learned in class and so on. There are so many. Is that clear? So that one makes sense to familiarize yourself, or even it could be more of a fun actually. That's why we call it an excursion, and that's why it can focus on more than one topic, or one theme can be pursued at a time. More than one theme can be pursued. Yes, Nick?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
As you've said, to apply geographical knowledge, is it the same as to reinforce what is learned, or there are different points?
Those are different points. Gaining more geographical knowledge, it means there's something, let's say that there's something that your book has not talked about, or something you've not been taught about regarding that feature. Is that clear?
Yes.
But when you go there, you come across something new. For example, let's say that in your course book, for example, they say that, let's say we talk about, for example, let's say in a volcanic mountain, for example, let's say Mount Kenya. You're told that Mount Kenya is snow-capped, for example, isn't it?
Yes.
And then you are told that in that area, it's an extinct volcano. It shows no sign of another eruption. So that's what the book talks about. And and in your book, they don't disclose any other feature around that region. So when you go there, you learn that indeed it is true that Mount Kenya is snow-capped. But then you notice that maybe around Mount Kenya, there could be other features that were not talked about in the book. So when you learn about those ones, we say that you are gaining more geographical knowledge about that area of study, or even that about the topic of study. Is that clear? You'll come across a lot of information. Is that clear?
Yes.
For example, another way, let's say you've done, let's say it's about rocks and minerals. So when let's say the book only talk about using the rocks for construction, building and construction, making some jewels and so on. But when you go there, you ask the local community, let's say you interview them. But remember in field excursion, we say you don't interact with them, you only observe. But let's say that was field study. But, or maybe you just come across a feature, you observe that these people can use these rocks for other reasons which are not talked about in the syllabus. So in that case, you are gaining more geographical knowledge. But when you say reinforcing what has been learned, in short, remember when someone tells you, for example, right now, when I tell you that that extrusive igneous rocks, for example, are smooth grain, are coarse grain, for example, also are smooth. You know, you don't even know how these rocks look like. When I describe the color, that one is not sufficient enough to help you understand it clearly, so that when you meet it, you can easily tell that. So, but when we go there, we say that it is coarse grain. You go there, you touch, so it will help you in understanding that when talk about these features, when you see them physically, how they look like, it will be very, very easier. Even when you are asked to describe, you can even recall how they appeared and describe based on on whatever you saw. Remember, it's scientifically proven that most knowledge, a lot of information is captured based on what we see, not on the pictures, diagrams, or in real objects. That one is easily understand than what is read. So that's what we mean by reinforcing what has been learned in class. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. Any other question? Okay. Okay, so I want us to look at the next one. So that is what we call field excursion. So all you need to know about field excursion: one, you can pursue or study more than one topic. Number two, in field excursion, it's all up there. There is no interaction or discussions in the field. So there you just observe the features or see the features, and then note down whatever you are seeing or whatever you are interested at. But any discussions, those ones are made in class, unlike in fieldwork, whereby you can even interview resource persons in the field and so on. I mean, unlike field study, And then we also have field research. So when we talk about field research, this one is, in short, the systematic problem solving, where scientific methods of collecting, recording, analyzing, interpreting, and even presenting data are used. Remember in statistics, when you talk about statistical methods, someone's audio is still on. Let's switch off our mics. Okay. So remember in statistical methods, it was defined as techniques or methods of collecting, recording, analyzing, presenting, and interpreting statistical data. So in short, if we are to collect information using those methods, we collect using, let's say, methods that will give us primary sources of information like observation, interviewing, administering questionnaires, measuring, sampling, and so on. Or we use secondary, maybe we do what we call content analysis, whereby you collect information from available stored sources, for example. So here, you will collect that information. You go through those steps. You collect that information through the techniques we talked about. And then as you collect, you record it, and then you will present it by drawing statistical tables. You can draw charts, graphs, rectangle, divided rectangle, and so on. You present that information. You will analyze by calculating percentages, mean, mode, median, and the measures of central tendency and dispersion. You can also, and then you can also interpret that data. So when you follow those techniques, methods as a researcher to solve a problem, where you apply the scientific methods, those scientific methods to systematically solve a problem, we call it field research. We call it systematic in that the methods that you use to collect information can be used or can be followed by other researchers to obtain the same outcome. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
fine.
Please repeat the statement, Malim.
Yeah, I've said that in field excursion, in short, this is whereby a researcher applies scientific methods of collecting, recording, presenting, analyzing, and interpreting statistical data to solve a problem. In short, those methods, the statistical techniques, remember in statistics, all those statistical techniques, we use them to not just to collect, but you collect, record, analyze, and then interpret, present and then interpret. And you know, right now, the methods of collecting data, any of the method you can use, any of the method of recording data. For example, in fieldwork, you just use notebook, maybe some videos, you can record videos and so on. And then you once you've recorded, you will analyze. How do you analyze? One, it's you can calculate percentages, you can draw some statistical tables, you can calculate mean, mode, and median, and so on, regarding or depending on the information you've collected, or even variation, standard deviation, etc. And then once you've analyzed, you will present that data. So to present, again, you can draw tables, you can draw graphs, charts, and so on, and then you interpret, that is deriving information out of this of the drawings you've made, or the way in which you've presented it. So in short, if where problem of geographic interest is solved using scientific methods of collecting, recording, and analyzing data, we call it field research. So you go through those methods to obtain, to solve a problem. And the problem in this case is not, I'm not talking about an issue affecting the community, but let's say you want to establish so you go to an area where mining is taking place. The problem there is effects of mining on area, on Lake Magadi, for example, effects of trona mining in Lake Magadi. So when you go there, you come across some of the problems. So how do you come across this? You'll collect data through the techniques that we talked about in statistics. So the systematic problem solving done by experts, where scientific methods of collecting, recording, and analyzing data are used, is what we call field research. So here your interest is to solve a problem of geographic interest. The geographic problem of interest in this case, I've said, maybe you want to establish the contributions of maybe minerals in a given area, how weather elements are measured. That it could be your problem, but that one is not a problem of geographic interest. That one you can adopt field excursion or even field research, or field study. But field research, you want to establish something. For example, right now, if you want to establish the effects of COVID-19 on maybe forestry, on agriculture, which are geographic topics, effects of that on human economic activities. That is that when you come across, remember, there you will have to interact with people, you have to go to places and all that. So there you are solving a problem of geographic interest. So the systematic problem solving, where you apply the scientific methods or scientific techniques of data collection, recording, analyzing, and interpreting, we call it field research. Is that clear?
Yes.
And then the last one is field excursion. So when we talk about field excursion, in short, what we call a study trip. A study trip. Field excursion is just study trip. So study trip or field excursion is whereby you visit, again, an area. It could be near or far from the school, but you pursue one theme or one topic. And there you can interact with the experts and you can even have some discussions in the field, but with the experts, because at personal, with your colleague, fellow students, you can do that later in class to save time. So in short, a study, that is a study conducted within the neighborhood where you pursue one topic, you study one topic, is what we call a field study. And before we look at the importance, can we just draw a table? Let us look at the differences between field excursion and field study. Just draw a table. But remember, in geography, you're not allowed to use a table, differentiate. But for the purpose of notes, remember in geography, we use while, whereas, and like, you just give them in statements. If you draw a table, when you're asked to differentiate and you draw a table in geography, it will not be marked. You will get 0, 0. Is that clear?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So let us just draw a table. One side write field excursion, and then on the other side write field study. We are going to look at the differences between field excursion and field study. Differences between field excursion. Yes. Muyeku Matilu.
Yes.
Are we together?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So number one, the first difference, I like that. In field excursion, I like that more than one topic can be pursued, stroke studied. More than one theme, stroke topic is pursued, stroke studied. That is under field excursion. More than one topic, stroke theme is pursued. More than one topic, stroke theme is pursued. More than one topic, stroke theme is pursued. That is in field excursion. And then under field study, I like that one theme is pursued. One theme is pursued. One theme stroke topic is pursued at a time. One theme stroke topic is pursued. So in field excursion, we say that after studying, let's say you've studied about vegetation, you've studied, that is where the plant cover. We've looked at the plants, the types of plant species in various areas. We look at that in vegetation in Form 2, the adaptations of various of xerophytes, hydrophytes, and so on. That is plants growing in various conditions. For example, when talk about xerophytes in dry conditions, how do their leaves look like, stem, and so on? How do they adapt to such areas, the characteristics, and which plants are we likely to find in such areas, and so on. So once we are done with vegetation, let's say you've studied vegetation, you've studied rocks and minerals, you've studied faulting, volcanicity, earthquake. So when you go there, and even maybe other topics like weathering in Form 3. So when you go there, as you can research, you can decide to collect information about all those areas at once. You look at the various plant species at the same time. You look at rocks types, the characteristics of those rocks. You look at if there is any volcanic feature or faulting related feature or features as a result of folding, and so on, and whether there is a minerals in that area and whether they are mined, and so on. So there you can study more than one topic. You can pursue more than one topic in field excursion. But in field study, it is a specific topic. For example, if we've done, let's say, minerals and rocks, we may go to a given area to study those, to give it a practical approach, to look at the types of rocks in that area, characteristics, the names, we identify the names of rocks in those areas, and so on. Or maybe it's about wildlife and tourism in Form 4. You can visit a game park, and study more about flora and fauna found in those game parks, the plants and animals, I mean. So in field study, in short, there's only one topic pursued at a time. Is that clear?
Yes.
I like that in field study. I like that in field study, students. I like that in field excursion, under field excursion. I like that the learners took students only see geographical phenomena and note down. The learner or students sees geographical phenomena and note down, and notes down, and then note down, see geographical phenomena and then note down without any discussion in the field, So the discussion is either with experts or even colleagues, students. There is no any kind of discussion in the field. So the learner sees geographical phenomena and notes down without any discussion in the field. So you don't discuss with the experts. So the discussion in this case is with the experts. You only observe. And then under field study, I like that. discussions can be made in the field with the experts. Discussions with the experts can be made during the field study. Discussions with the experts, discussions stroke even consultations with experts can be made during field study, So those are the two differences between field excursion and field study. And then having looked at that, I want us to quickly look at the importance of field study, and these are very, very key areas. So this one this one can be tested in so many ways. One, they can ask you to give reasons why. Let's say you're told that from that question, I told you that field work will be attached to a given topic. It won't be tested alone, but in Form 1 you can meet it alone, or maybe in Form 2, but it is connected to a given topic. For example, you may be asked, like now you've done weather. It can be tested along with weather. You are asked that a group of Form 1 students conducted field study about weather. And then number 1, you are asked, outline 4 reasons why they will study weather through field work. So there you can see. So that one is testing on the importance of field work. Why do you study weather through field work? And then they can also ask you reasons why they will conduct field study or field research or even field excursion. Again, these ones are derived from the importance of field work. Are we together?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
the first.
Yes.
So we talked about. Let's just mention them. So the first one is to reinforce what has been learned in classroom, whereby you've learned about how certain features look like. So when you go there to see them practically, it will help you in understanding whatever you were taught in class. And then number 2, it will enable one to gain more geographical knowledge, whereby you go to an area, you come across some information that are not disclosed in your course books. So there you will tend to learn more or gain a lot of information regarding your area of study or even the topic of study. And then it will also break down the monotony of classroom work. So remember, in classroom, it's all about you take notes, the teacher explains, you make some presentations in class and so on. But here, remember, you are involved in movement. Remember, in classroom, there are no movement. You are at a fixed point. That is where you are sitting point. But there you move from one place to another. You interact with the local community, you interact with the experts or the resource persons in that area, you conduct experiments which may not be possible in classroom. So in short, learning classroom work is broken due to field work. And then it will also provide learner with skills, that is practical skills of collecting, recording, and analyzing data, and even report writing. Remember, in the field, you collect information. Let's say there's times whereby you have to interview resource person. So where you have to interview, in that case, you must have some skills on how how an interview can be made effective and how interview is conducted and so on. So as you do them practically, you gain those practical skills, and then it will give the learner an opportunity to go out and practice what they've learned in class. For example, you've learned, so far I'm pretty sure you've learned about how elements of weather are measured. For example, how a rain gauge works, how an anemometer works, how a hygrometer works, and so on. All the elements of weather, how they are measured, and the instruments, how they work. So when you go there, you are given a rain gauge. Let's say it has just rained there, and then you are asked to measure the amount of rainfall received. You know how a rain gauge works because you've learned that in class. So you are going to practice what you've learned in class. You've learned in class the steps involved in the measurement of rainfall using a rain gauge, how a 6 thermometer works. You know the steps, how a 6 thermometer works. So when you go there, you can easily tell, you can easily measure, for example, on a 6 thermometer, you know which side will we measure the maximum thermometer and which one will measure the minimum thermometer. What happens, what will happen when it is heated, when temperature rises, the alcohol is heated there, expands, pushing the mercury towards the left bulb, pushing the metal index on the left-hand side until the highest temperature is attained. And so in short, you know how all this works now. So when you go there, you just apply what you've learned in class. Maybe you've learned about the winds. anabatic, katabatic winds, and so whatever you've learned, convectional rainfall, maybe the effects of convectional rainfall, or maybe some, maybe you've done about, let's say, hot springs, for example, and geysers. You've learned about some of the precautionary measures you should take when you go to such areas. So when you go there, you apply those precautionary measures. For example, not putting on warm clothes, not touching the superheated water or warm water, and even steam coming out of the ground, and so on. So you just apply. So fieldwork gives the learner or a student an opportunity to go out and practice what they've learned in class, and then it will enable students to familiarize themselves with the environment. You will be aware in that area, you know that you'll come across various features, not just paths or leading to various destinations, but in that area, you will know the features, some physical features in that area where they are, so that maybe you need a river around there, river water, you know where it is, where you need some, let's say some plant covers, certain types of plant species, you know where they are found. You become familiar with that area, and more importantly, it will help you to develop positive attitude towards the environment, whereby you understand the need to conserve and protect the environment. And then it will also enable the student to develop a positive attitude towards manual work. And then when we talk about manual work, there are some topics like, let's say, mining and even rocks and minerals. When you go there, you'll have to do it physically, whereby you have to dig up some, let's say you want to collect some rock samples of intrusive igneous rocks, those that form within the interior of the earth when magma cooled and solidified within the crust before reaching the earth's surface. So you have to dig. So there, you get used to these, when you remember, that's what we call a manual work, such tasks which are physically demanding, whereby you have to execute most of your duties is more physical. So there, remember, there are some people with very, very negative attitude towards manual work, towards those people involved in manual work, the Juakali sector and so on. To them, they believe that those ones are not occupations or tasks. So, but in field work, when you go to a mining site, you extract minerals. Let's say you need to collect some samples of gold. So, and the gold, it's, let's say, the mineral occur deep underground beneath the earth's surface. So we have to use maybe open cast mining method, whereby we have to remove the unwanted materials first. That is by digging. So there, as you do so, you tend to appreciate and understand and even acquire positive attitude towards manual work, which is very, very necessary, because actually nowadays it's a problem in that most people believe that white collar jobs are the only jobs, and that is due to the negative attitude towards manual work. So geography, that is through field work, will help one develop positive attitude towards the manual work, especially when you are learning about such topics. And then it promotes development of virtues like cooperation by working in groups. Remember, in field work, in most cases, we divide ourselves into groups, and you can be asked in a serious, let's say you're asked in an exam, outline 5 reasons why students will divide themselves into groups during field work. Why will you divide yourselves into groups? We look at that when we'll be looking at ways or methods of preparing for field work. But in field work, in most cases, tasks are broken. We break ourselves into groups to save time, number one. Let's say that you want to study about, we want to identify the plant species, maybe in Karura forest. We cannot move from one point to the another. At the end, remember, we only have a few hours in a day for our field study. So we can assign and divide ourselves into groups of maybe 4 or 3. And then we assign each and every group each section. So in those sections, those groups will only focus on their sections, whereby you identify the plant species in various sections in Karura forest and so on. So it will help save time. But we look at other 5 reasons why students will break or divide themselves into groups. That is something which is very, very necessary. Is there anyone with a question before we move to the next step? That is fieldwork procedure, or steps that encompass fieldwork. Anyone with a question or point that needs clarification?
Can you see that fieldwork gives learners that photographical memory?
It gives giving the students
you say that
photographical
fieldwork?
memory.
Yes, can you
Okay,
say that
okay,
it
okay.
gives a
Brian,
learner photographical memory?
okay.
Can you say that?
Okay, okay. Brian, when you talk about photographical memory, that one, it's correct, but we had mentioned reinforces what has been learned in class. To reinforce in that you learn it, let's say you learn about, let's say, characteristics of, so far, what feature have you learned about that we can talk about? But let's just use a feature that, let's say you've talked about, let's say in vegetation, you've talked about xerophytes. I mean, I'm not xerophytes, that is plants growing in dry conditions. You've been taught in class that they have thin needle-like leaves to reduce the rate of transpiration. They have long or deep taproots to help them access water from deep. Below, they have thick bark and stem. Those are mechanisms to reduce transpiration or water loss from the surface of the plant. And so on. Among other, some have thorny leaves to reduce the rate of transpiration, for example. So that's what you've learned in class. But that's just a picture. So when you go there, you see it, you get that photographical, it aids in memory. You understand in that it will give you that that photographical image. So that is what we mean by reinforcing what has been learned in classroom. Is that clear? Mwanzia?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Any other question or point that needs clarification? Okay, that silence, I'll assume that means that we are okay and we are good to carry on. So I want us to carry on by looking at fieldwork procedure. And fieldwork procedure, I want us I want this sequence that you must follow. You must answer in step by step. Your answers must follow some steps. One step leads to another. So you mess up in one step, you may get everything wrong. So when you are asked to describe, there are some logical sequence that you must follow. Number two, in areas where there are diagrams, if there is a diagram in that feature, in that area, whatever you are asked to describe, whether you are asked to draw a diagram or not, always draw a diagram. But in these steps, we cannot draw diagrams. Is that clear? But here, all we do is to ensure that our answers follow some logical sequence. So I want us to just in fieldwork. Steps involved in fieldwork or fieldwork procedure. So we only have 6 steps. And I want us to be very, very careful here. So the first step is to identify topic, identification of topic of study, So you identify the topic of the study. And in identification of the topic of study, sometimes you may be asked, let's say like that question, the question we had asked, Form 1 students of Alliance High School conducted a field study about weather. And then question number 1, what was their topic of study? You are asked now to identify their topic of study. Remember, they'll study anything to do with in weather. You can look at how well elements of weather are measured. You can look at weather instruments. You can look at how, for example, factors affecting certain weather elements. You can study about the effects of some, for example, rainfall, convectional rainfall, effects of cyclonic rainfall, and so on. It's a very wide and deep topic. You can talk about starvation screen, qualities and the instruments kept in a starvation screen. You can go to a weather station, conditions necessary for sighting. You can study about so many topics. So in identification of the topic, it must be within that area, any area. And that's why this question, if it's asked in a national exam and you all give the same answer, you may all get why. It may be treated as a collision and an element, another way, a form of cheating. So you may all get why, because this is an application area, and that topic, there could be so many areas of study or areas of interest in that topic, which you should be in a position to name or to mention. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, so
Mwalimu.
we look at how we state the topic. How do we state the topic? We'll come back to that later. And then step number 2, I want us to just list them first. We look at how when you are asked to state a topic, how do you write the answer? Because you may know the answer. For example, let's say you want to, yours is all about how elements of weather are measured. But if you just say how elements of weather are measured, that is not a topic. There are some words you must use if you are asked to state a topic. We look at that. And then number 2, you identify the area of study. So you've identified the topic, then you look for a suitable area where that topic, where you can gather maximum information regarding your topic of study. So identification of area of study. So you identify your area of study. And again, here we look at another question. You may be asked, what are some of the criteria? What are some of the factors they will consider? Let's say you're told that you are to conduct field study about weather in your local, field study about weather. And then you are asked, what factors will you consider when choosing a suitable area of study? In short, what are some of the things that you must look for or look at while deciding on which area is deemed is fit or not deemed fit for your area of for your study? So what are the factors? A good area of study, what are some of the qualities that it must meet? And then number 3, once you've identified the area of study, step number 3, you will formulate the hypothesis and set objectives of your study. So number 3, statement of objectives and hypothesis objectives and hypotheses of study. So you state objectives and hypotheses of your study. So when talk about objectives, the theme, and you may be asked, one, you can be asked to state objectives. What will be the objectives of your study? We look at keywords that you must use, for example, to find out, to identify, to establish, to investigate. We look at how we state objectives and how you can answer such questions using some practical questions. And then hypotheses. And you can also be asked reasons why you will state an objective. Why do you state to that objective? We look at reason why people state objective. We look at, again, characteristics of objectives that you can state, because you can be asked what would be some of the characteristics of the objectives you will state, or they stated if it is a group of students. So you need to know such another question, another area that another one is hypothesis. And when we talk about hypothesis, we talk about assumptions set before fieldwork whose validity or acceptance is to be proved. In short, I normally use this definition to explain it, but don't write this in an exam. I normally say that we could define it as an informed guess. Informed guess in that it's something you are knowledge, you have some hint or information regarding that area, but as you make some guess, it's something that is on the mark. For example, let's say that let me use a very simple example. Let's say you are told that you are to be sent to a given school, for example, maybe for a contest, or maybe to benchmark. You're to be sent to let's say Maseno School, for example. Before you go there, you can assume the assumptions. You can assume that there are so many students, maybe they are more than us. They have so many classrooms. Those assumptions you make. They have so many teachers, they have so many playgrounds, and so on. Their meals are different from ours. For example, if those are the assumptions you can make. But their acceptance or validity is to be ascertained, is to be proved. So when you go there and you confirm that indeed, let's say you go there, then let's say you assume that they have very many classes, and then when you go there, you learn that it can be true or false. So when you go there, those ones are the ones you will be testing in fieldwork. So as a hypothesis are just assumptions that you set before fieldwork, whose validity are to be or whose validity or acceptance is to be proved. So we look at how do we state hypotheses, And what are the types of hypotheses? Because you can be asked to state maybe 4 substantive hypotheses for their study, 4 alternative hypotheses of null hypotheses of their study, and so on. And then you can also be asked, what are some of the considerations you'll make while formulating the hypothesis? What are the in short, what are the characteristics of a good hypothesis? So those are some of the things they may ask you regarding fieldwork, because remember, it's largely application. So we've said step number 1, you identify the topic. So you've identified the topic. Let's say you want to study about weather, and weather in specific, how elements of weather are measured. You've stated the topic, a study of how elements of weather are measured in weather station Z. And then you've identified the area of study, which could be that weather station you've identified. Then you state the objectives and formulate hypotheses of your study. And then after you've done so, the next step is preparation for fieldwork. So you will prepare, so preparing for fieldwork. Preparing for fieldwork. So you will prepare for fieldwork, and you may be asked, what are some of the ways in which you will prepare for fieldwork? So in preparation for fieldwork, 1, you can conduct a reconnaissance or pre-visit, and then you may be asked reasons. Why will you conduct a pre-visit or a reconnaissance? You will divide yourselves into groups. Why will you divide yourself into groups? Maybe 5 reasons. Then maybe preparing a work schedule or a study timetable, or timetable to guide you during, not study timetable, but timetable to guide you during the fieldwork. What are some of the reasons why you prepare a work schedule, and so on? Assembling necessary tools. What are some of the tools you'll assemble, and what are their uses? Because in an exam, they test on those tools. For example, in 2019, they were asked, they were told that a group of students had to conduct field study about rocks, minerals and rocks. And then the question is, how would they use the following instruments? Number 1, they were asked a hammer. How do you use a geological hammer? How do you, that's application question. You need to know why we use these tools. Then a magnifying lens, a polythene bag. How will you use it? So we look at those tools and how they are used, because those are the things they'll ask you in field. So, and I will also look at other methods of preparing for fieldwork and reasons for each method. And then once you've prepared for fieldwork, the D-Day has now reached. If you are to visit a given area, the day has now come. So you now conduct the actual fieldwork. So fieldwork, so you conduct the actual fieldwork. You conduct it, or field study, whereby you'll use the techniques or the methods to collect information. And in the field there are some activities, and you may be asked, what are some of the activities you'll be involved in during the field? For example, you are told that you are to conduct field study on, a group of students visited our nearby weather stations to conduct field study, or you are to conduct field study in a weather station within the vicinity of your school. And then you are asked, what are some of the activities you will engage in during the field study? What are the activities? What are some of the things you will be doing while there? Maybe you can be, like in that case, it's all about weather. Maybe measuring weather elements. You can interview resource persons, taking photographs or pictures of certain weather elements, especially the ones you are not familiar with, and so on. So those are some of the things they'll ask you. And that's why I say this area is largely application, and it will never miss in KCSE, and it will feature in both paper 1 and paper 2, and it can carry a lot of marks, up to 25 at times, or maybe up to or 20 marks. And this area, unfortunately, you will not do it again. It's only done once in Form 1. So once we are done with it, it will a lot will be left on your side. So let us carry on. So once you've conducted the field study, the day has come, you've conducted field study. That is, you can say actual field study or conducting field study. So you've conducted the field study. The last step is what we call follow-up activities. Follow-up activities. In short, you are from the field work. You are now back in school. Does it end there? It does not end in the field. Maybe you had collected some samples. You have to write a report about your field work. You have to, the samples you had collected, you have to test them. you had taken some photographs. You have to display those photographs so that others can see the features. You can, maybe there are some things you noted down that you want to discuss with the group, with the class in school. You discuss them, you conduct in class. Maybe you assigned tasks in groups. Let's say we visited Karura Forest to identify the types of plant species in various regions and their characteristics within Karura Forest. So each group will make a presentation of their findings. So those are some of the follow-up activities, and we look at them in details one by one. So those are the steps. So if you are asked, and I'm still repeating, whenever you hear the word describe in geography, your answers must follow some logical sequence, or you must give your answers in step by step. Are we together?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you are asked, another way of asking you this, instead of asking you directly to describe the steps that are involved in fieldwork or to describe the fieldwork procedure, another way of asking you this is to outline the steps that encompass fieldwork, or to describe steps that encompass fieldwork. Again, that one you are required to give the fieldwork procedure. So you talk about those steps. Is there anyone with a question or point that needs clarification or a burning issue regarding what we talked about? Sisa. Sisa?
Yes.
Okay, are we together?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great to hear that. So let us, I want us to move to the first few steps. I don't know, when do you have the next session? Your next lesson?
Next week.
I mean,
Same
for
day
today.
next week. Oh.
I know next, okay, for today?
9:30. 9:30.
9:30?
Yes.
Yeah.
9:30 or 10:30?
9:30.
9,
10.
9,
9.
10, 10, 10.
Okay. Someone is asking a question. What is the Benford experiment? That is asked by Presley, yeah? Elvis, yeah? Yeah, that's a very unique name. Presley. How do you pronounce that, yeah? Elvis.
Sleep.
Yeah, okay. That's a unique name, yeah? Okay, and someone is in a t-shirt and a tie, yeah? Okay. We can only see this in Zoom anyway. Okay, so Elvis, when you are asked about Benford experiment, yeah? In short, it's an experiment that was conducted to determine the shape, to prove that the Earth is spherical. So in that experiment, 3 poles of the same length were lined in the same line. And when observed from a distance or from far, the middle pole appeared longer than other poles. Is that clear, Elvis? That is an indication that the Earth is spherical, because if it was flat, those 3 poles would have assumed the same height when observed. Is that clear? So you just say that Benford experiment is an experiment that was conducted to prove that the Earth is spherical. And in the experiment, 3 poles of equal length were lined in the same line. And when observed from far, the middle pole appeared longer than other poles, indicating that the Earth is spherical. Is that clear?
Yes.
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 So since you have a lesson at 9:30, I'm challenged to think of concluding the lesson at that point. But during our next, I can see someone has asked for the notes. That is again Elvis, yeah. I believe you all have a WhatsApp. You are all in the WhatsApp group, isn't it? Do you have a WhatsApp group?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm going to send the teacher the notes. I'm sending the notes to the teacher, and they will forward them to you. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Malcolm Jakai. Malcolm,
Yes.
how are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah, any question?
No.
No question, yeah? I love your tie, yeah. I love your tie and t-shirt, yeah. Okay, let us end the session at that point, boys. But I want to remind you this, yeah. From you are in Form 1, of course, yeah. But anyway, you are now Form 2s. But that one should not give you any excuse to relax. No, you must not entertain any element of laxity. There is no time. And trust me, if you talk to those Form 4s now, some of them will tell you that they regret some of the time they wasted in high school. And some of them actually, you even ask them of the reactions of the papers. Some tell you that there were some simple things they learned in Form 1, but they ignored, they didn't take seriously. So what am I trying to say, boys? Let us focus fully right now. Let us maximize on this holiday. Revise, and revise. So assist your parents in chores. It's very, very important. Help them, of course, but give a lot of time. Dedicate a lot of time to your books, to your studies. This is the time you can perfect on those areas where you feel inadequate. There is no time. Let no one fool you that you still have time. There is no time. Are we together? There is no time. So let us make good use of this holiday. Work on those areas where you feel inadequate. And more importantly, let us be very, very careful. Remember, COVID-19 is taking another toll. It's serious, but we believe all will be well. So let us be very, very careful, but minimize. I know some of us are just in PS and video games, mobile phone games. Let us avoid that. Please let us avoid that. That one will not, they will not ask you in KCSE. Maybe PS, which day did you play PS the old day, which one PS game? Those ones, it's wasting your time. It's fun, of course. But remember, boys, there's a difference between this. Discipline is not about obeying rules or instructions, but it's about knowing and deciding between what you want now and what you want most. So right now, you may want to sleep and compete with the dead, yeah? It's just sleeping without studying. Right now, you may want to play games throughout the day, have fun, walk with your friends, do everything with your friends out there. But I trust me, that one is not going to do you any good. It is not going to do you any good. So make good use. Decide now. It's remember the life, the future you'll have, the choices you make. That grade, anything, any outcome in your life will be due to the decisions and commitment you make in your life. So I want us to be very, very serious. There is no time. And let no one fool you that you are in Form 1 so that you can relax. There is no time. So build that grade right now. And most subjects, actually nearly all, 75% of paper 1 in most cases come from Form 1 and Form 2. So you must build some sound knowledge or some solid work. Do something serious in Form 1 and Form 2. Otherwise, let us end the session at this point. I want to wish you all the best, and I'm going to send you the notes. And when I send you the notes, please make an effort either to copy the notes or to photocopy the notes, but ensure that you have them, because this topic, remember, you will not do it again and it will never miss in your national exam. Otherwise, I want to wish you all the best and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Moji.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.